In this video, we're going to have a look at random numbers. Now, this is probably going to be one of the shortest videos that I'll ever put up, and this is just to show you how to generate random numbers. Now, as part of the OCR specification, you need to know how to generate random numbers. Even if you're on a different exam board, random numbers will probably be needed. In most programming languages, pseudo-random numbers will be generated between 0.0 and 0.9999. So, some maths is needed to take place for it to work, but I will go over that when we actually show the Java example. This is probably one of the easiest OCR exam reference language examples I can give you. This is the pseudocode, and this makes random numbers between 1 and 10, and also 1 and 100. So you can see here I've got num equals random 1, 10. That's inclusive, so it will generate a random number between 1 and 10 and store it in num. In this example underneath, we've got print random 1 to 100. So that will print out a random number between 1 and 100 to the screen. In Java, it's a little bit more complicated, but it does make sense. So, if we wanted to generate a number between 1 and 10, we've got int random num equals, this bit here is casting a float into an integer. Okay? The reason why that is, and we don't use integer.parsint, is because that's for changing strings into integers, and this we're changing a float into an integer. We do math.ceil, so this means round up. So no matter what number we get, we're going to always round up. So that means instead of having a number between 0.0 to 0.9, we're now going to always get 1. Okay? And will give us a number up to 1. Okay? So actually, in this example, we will only get random numbers between 1 and 1. Okay? To make it between 1 and 10, so you can see I've made a mistake. It needs to look like the bottom one. This gives us between 1 and 100. So math.ceil will take it from 0 to wherever to 1 to wherever. Multiplying it by 100 will then take it up to 1 to 100. So what would we need to put here to make that between 1 and 10? Have a quick think, pause the video, and then come back. So what should go there to make it between 1 and 10? And I'll just use the pen for this. We'd have math.random, and then just in between here, we would have a star, and then we'd have 10. So math.random times 10. And that will give us a number between 1 and 10. It can be confusing, but just stick with it. Math.random returns a value between 0.0 and 0.9999. Multiplying by that number will give you an upper boundary to increase your range. So if I times it by 60, it'll give me a random number between 0.0 and 59.9999. By then using math.ceil, that will round it up to the nearest integer. So that would then shift it from 0.0 to 59.9 to 1 to 60. So that is how that works. That's how you add your range with Java. Let's have a look at an example and we'll be able to see how this works. Let's have a go at generating some random numbers. So, what I'm going to do first is, just to make it really, really simple, I'm going to show you the stages and break down everything that's been happening. So, like I said, it generates a float. So, let's add that in, and then it makes a random number. So, math.random. So let's check that out. So if we do system.out.println num, and you'll see that should generate a number between 0.0 and 0.9999. So you can see there it's given me 0.8785099. If I was to run it again, and I will get a different number on top of that as well. Now let's say that we want that number to, we now want that number to be times by 10, so then we get the values, because we want to work towards a random number between 1 and 10. So we'd have num equals math.ceil. Oh, no, sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Num times 10. We'll copy that line because we're going to show what happens at each stage just to make it extremely clear. And if you run that, you'll be able to see we will get our random number, so 0.56252551. We have then multiplied that by 10, so that's given us 5.625251. And finally, to add our upper bound, we said we would multiply it by the upper bound that we want. So for me, I want it to be multiplied by 10. So we will have a look at that. So we can now say num equals math.ceil, and we're going to do num. So that gives me my lower boundary of, that'll give me my lower boundary of that'll give me my lower boundary of 1. Oh, we can see there's a bit of an issue here. Because obviously we're going from, so what we need to do is we need to change that to an int. There we are. No. Let's call that random num because we can't have the same variable name twice. So random num. Right, let's give that a run and we'll see what happens. So you can see there 0.36120.638, 3.612064 if it's been multiplied by 10, and then we've rounded that up to 4. So every time we run that, we'll get a random number between 1 and 10. We won't get anything that's higher than 10. We won't get anything that's lower than 1. We will always get 1 or the other. So you see there we've got 4 again. Now there is a shorter way of writing this. So we can do int random num equals int, and we can put it all in one line. Math.ceil, so that'll give us our lower boundary of 1. Math.random, and then we multiply that by whatever number we want. So if I want a number between 1 and 22, I can multiply it by 22. I can then print out my random num, and if we click run, that will give me a random number between 1 and 22. There we go. Have a go at trying this out. If you get stuck, just put a comment down. I'm more than happy to help you. And also have a look up and see what goes on. Let's have a look at the challenge and see if you can get that completed as well. Now that you've come back from the demo, let's have a look at your challenge. So I want you to make almost the lucky dip generator on a lottery machine. So you're going to try and generate 6 random numbers between 1 and 59 and store them into an array for me. So, for example, if I was to go to like Tesco's or Morrison's and say, can I have a lucky dip for the lotto? They would generate 6 random numbers between 1 and 59. I want you to replicate that for me, please. And I will see you in the next video.